Namaste, Namaskar, and a very warm welcome from Dekho Apna Desh series that is being run by Incredible India. And today, viewers, we mark the 50th episode. And so we want to initially thank you for all the support, all the love and affection that you have been showering on us as you and we walk together into the beautiful lanes, by lanes, the mountains, the rivers, the deserts, and whatnot of our incredible country. We shall keep bringing you the episodes. We keep getting asked, are we going to stop at some point? No, it's an incredible country. How can we stop at any point of time? These are your stories. And therefore, we are going to keep bringing you those stories as time goes by. Incidentally, today is also the World Folklore Day. So, what an interesting day to be doing a webinar in a country like India, where we are blessed with so many languages, religions. It's an ancient and a very diverse and yet a very, very modern culture. We've had oral traditions coming down. We are a pre-Aryan civilization. We do not even know how many thousands of years do we go back to, because as excavations are coming forth and we are getting places like Rakhi Gadi and Dholavira, we also really don't know our age. We are old, but we are young. We are young at heart. We readily adopt and adapt to all the new technologies and the new traditions that we get. But in that process, we don't want to forget our diverse culture, our traditions, our culture. And that's why it's a very special day for us when the world and we celebrate the World Folklore Day. If you go around on the web, there are a number of people who are telling you those incredible stories from our incredible India. So do keep hunting and do keep finding those little stories about our beautiful country. Today is also a special day for another reason. Today is Ganesh Chaturthi. Now, what is Ganesh Chaturthi? For many of us, we know what it is. For all those who do not know what it is, well, Ganesh is one of our most revered and loved gods that we have in the pantheon of gods in India. Today, he is welcomed into our homes and he brings in his blessings, and he's also the Vigneshwara. He's the destroyer of the remover of obstacles, and that's the name that he goes by also. Well, in the Hindu mythology, I'm going to read some of it because there's just so much about Ganpati. That's another name by which he is referred to. He incidentally has a Thai name, Phra Phikanet. There's a name for him in Burmese also, Mahapien. In Sri Lanka, he has a name, Gan Devyo. So can you imagine the kind of reverence that this god has around the world? And in Hindu mythology, he's identified as Ganpati, Vinayak. In Tamil, he's referred as Pillai. His presence is found, therefore, in India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Bali, Fiji, Mauritius, Trinidad, and Tobago. So widespread, so widespread. There must be something about him, viewers, that he has been adopted and taken in so many places around the world. In the place where we are today, they are celebrating the day as Vinayak Chaturthi. That's the name that he goes by there. He goes by the name of Vinayak Kudu. Of course, you'll know more about that later. Vinayak is his common name in the Purans and in the Buddhist Tantras. The name is reflected in the naming of the 8 famous Ganesh temples in Maharashtra, where these temples are known as Ashtivinayak. And we all have been, I'm sure, at some point of time to one of those temples, because Vignesha or Vigneshwara, as I already said, the remover of obstacles, he stands with us. And in times like these, when it is so challenging for humanity, we are faced with unprecedented challenge of COVID, that's the right time to remember this great God, the Lord Ganesha. Today, he comes into our homes, and then at the end of the 10 days, he's immersed to come back again the next year. You could immerse him on the second day, the third day, the fifth day, the seventh day. It depends on how you have the tradition in your home. And I'm sure these are those traditions that should form not only a part of putting it down as a vocal tradition, but an oral tradition that is passed on to your children, those laddus, those little things that go along, the bananas, why do we put them at Ganesha's feet? What happens really in Ganesh Chaturthi? I do hope all the parents and all the people who know a little bit about Ganesh Chaturthi are going to take this day as a day to tell at least 5 more people about how they do in their homes and how the Lord Ganesha is revered and remembered. So please tell your simple traditions to your children, to your families, to your neighbors, so that they can carry on these traditions. And whatever we inherit from our elders, we pass on, we take them over and pass them on to the next generation. And then we become the country that we are, taking in all the modern inputs also. Well, so much of talking. Today, we are going to take you to a lovely, lovely city just a little under the center of India. We are going to take you to Hyderabad. And talking to us about Hyderabad today is going to be somebody that I'm not going to tell you about. I'm going to request Miss Bharti Sharma if she's around. Bharti, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome, Bharti. So you're going to tell us more about who's taking us to Hyderabad and what is Hyderabad about. Welcome, Bharti.
Thank you, ma'am. Namaskar. So, happy Ganesh Chaturthi to all. It's an auspicious day, and as ma'am said, it's our 50th webinar. And where are we going? We are going to the city of Hyderabad. So, as we all know, Hyderabad is the capital of state of Telangana. It's a historic city, more than 400 years of history, and the city which is famous for its temple, for its mosque, for its bazaar, for its vibrant culture, food, cuisine, the festivals, you name it, and the city has its all. So I'll not be taking much on the introduction part because we have a very important, very well-researched presenter today. It's Mrs. Madhu Watri. She's an author, a conservationist, and an architect. Madhu has done a lot of work in the field of conservation. She has worked on the Mozamzahi market conservation, and she has authored number of books. Apart from that, she also has been awarded with lot of national and international awards. Madhu has also has the honor of taking the presidents of India, Mauritius, and she has shown them the city of Hyderabad. So I'll not take much of the time. I hand over the screen to Madhu.
Welcome, Madhu. Thanks, Bharti. Let's go on a fantastic journey on this beautiful city.
Namaste. Thank you, ma'am. And thanks to all the viewers. We are here in Hyderabad. I welcome all of you to this Dekho Apna Desh unique series. And we are on 50th episode now. What you are seeing to the left of the screen is Mozamjahi Market Courtyard. It's a special photograph, so it's looking like this. And I'm really fortunate that I'm the second speaker after 14th of August, 15th August episodes. Hyderabad, when you just close your eyes and think about Hyderabad, it's an image which comes to you in your mind. Okay, it's about food, it's about attar, it's about shopping, it's about markets, so dazzling with a lot of colors and with lot of fragrances, different aromas of the city. So we are talking about a city which is heaven for foodies. It's now UNESCO creative city, which is in gastronomy category. We got it last year. The city of Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb. Now you will slowly see in the presentation what is Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb. And to me, it's very special because it has tangible and intangible heritage for cultural tourists. So we are talking about people who come to Hyderabad. What are they searching for? What are they looking for? What brings them to Hyderabad? Mrs. Barar has already told that she has also seen the city. So what we are seeing here is to the left hand side, you are seeing Osmania biscuits, a huge range of Osmania biscuits. In the center, we are seeing somebody making char koni naan, a naan which is not round in shape, which is a square, and naturally the square will have 4 corners. That's why it is char koni naan. To the right hand side, what you're seeing is called badam ki jali. This is something very special and very Hyderabadi. And mohre. You know, these are not sone ki mohre, but these are the edible mohr. So you will eat these gold coins made with khoa, badam and kaju. That's why badam ki jali and sone ki mohre. And then at the bottom, what you are seeing is Attar. Hyderabad has been a huge market of Attar. Slowly, we will see how Hyderabad has prospered, has grown as a special city. Next slide, Bharti. Yeah, so we are seeing different cultural products. To the left-hand side, what you are seeing, somebody is making these silver varak. We call varak. These are silver foils, edible silver foil. When you're eating some sweets, it is covered with silver foil. And believe me, friends, it takes from morning to afternoon just beating a small 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter silver piece. And then when you walk into the streets of Hyderabad, there are a couple of streets, I will name them for you. This is in front of Mecca Masjid. There is another street, Amir Kabir Gully, where these people are making a typical silver foil from Hyderabad. In the center, what you are seeing is Zari Zardozi work. So these craftsmen are making the women's dresses here. To the right hand side, what you are seeing is calligraphy, very special to Hyderabad. A lot of people go to the historic part of the town to get this work done. And then what you are seeing here to the bottom is somebody is making pajeb. Pajeb is the anklet, silver anklets, and all this is done manually. So we call them cultural products from Hyderabad. Next slide. These historic markets, as I have already named them, now you see these are Lat bangles from Lat Bazaar, very famous. They are again handmade. Attar and traditional perfume, you saw the picture right now. Pearls and jewelry at Patargati market, ethnic wear at Lat Bazaar and Patargati market. Then you have calligraphy at Chhatta Bazaar. You saw the images just now. Then you have Simai, Naan. All these are the traditional delicacies from Purani Haveli area. You have spices at Miralam Mandi market. Come to Hyderabad and you can take a beautiful walk from all these streets. Silver work I have already showed you. Kite and pankha makers also you will get at Sardar Mahal Road. And Bidri craft, if you know the term Bidri, it comes from Bidar. So the work which is done in Bidar is called Bidri craft. But since Bidar was part of Hyderabad dominions, so Bidri craft is also very much part of Hyderabad. It's a metal craft. And different metal antique pieces are made in Shahganj area, including the spires of domes, the metal work at Mehboob Chowk. And then we have handcrafted footwear, very special of Hyderabad. And not to forget, what you will going to see now is the building craft in line. These are different sites around Hyderabad. I mean, within a 1 day distance, you can go and come back. To the left-hand side, you are seeing Ramappa Temple. Our latest entry, hopefully, to the World Heritage site. The nomination is being submitted. We are quite hopeful we will get the nomination. So 2 images are of Ramappa Temple. To the right-hand side is another Kakatiya temple in Ganpur area near Warangal. This site, which is with a lot of green, is actually a very unique site, very special in Telangana, is the megalithic tombs. People know about megalithic tombs in UK, but how many people know that we have a huge collection of megalithic tombs in India? And this is a site where we have 200 plus dolmens in one site in Warangal, very close to Hyderabad. And to the left-hand side, what you're seeing is a church, very big in scale, second biggest church in Asia. The next slide. Bharti. This is heritage of Hyderabad. Bharti, we don't see the screen.
Yeah, Bharti, could you come in with the screen? You can keep talking a few things till then. I'm sure she's having a small power outage issue. Viewers?
Yeah.
Madhu, she'll be back soon with the...
Okay. So we are talking about Hyderabad, where we have this map. And in the map, we will see a lot of blue lines. So these blue lines are all water bodies. I want to remind all the people of India that the country is pretty rich in terms of the built heritage, the natural heritage, the water bodies. It is only that we are going to protect it. We have borrowed it from our younger generation. We don't own it. So city of Hyderabad is very rich in terms of water resources, which were planned by the Kakatiya rulers much before the Islamic kingdom started. Kakatiya rulers have a well-planned network of water bodies. So in today's presentation, we will see how the city has grown over a period of time. I would say Dakkan hai nagina, anguti hai jag, anguti ko humrat, nagine hi lag. I ask this question from all of you. Why are we discussing Hyderabad? Because Hyderabad, Deccan has been like the diamond in the ring of India. So it's a very beautiful city. It has been the Deccani capital for many generations, passed on by different rulers. We have beautiful temples and temples in Hyderabad which are lesser known. We know that Hyderabad is city of minarets, Hyderabad is city of markets, but Hyderabad is also city of temples which are lesser known to the world. It has some very beautiful historic temples dating back to 700 years, 800 years. So we will be discussing some of the temples here. Bharti?
She's still having some power issue. So the technical team is putting out the pictures, Madhu, so that there is an illustration that goes along.
Yeah, these are actually the Mozam Jahi markets. We will be talking about it. This is a market which has recently been restored. Ma'am, we'll run the video for the market here.
Sure, we can try doing that.
So this is a market. This is basically to connect the past with the present. This market is 85 years old, and with the efforts of the Municipal Administration and Urban Development Secretary, Principal Secretary Shri Arvind Kumar Garu, with his personal interest and the local government's interest, we have restored this market. I had the honor of writing the archival part, the archival history part of this market. We are showing it over here. So you are seeing the process of restoration. And we have celebrated 14th and 15th August here. So this is the picture with the huge flag post in the center of the courtyard. I really felt proud when I was there just an evening before 15th August. So you are seeing how the market is restored at different point of time. Yeah. Last 2 years, we have been constantly, tirelessly working on this. Beautiful view for the water system, like rainwater harvesting is done in the courtyard. These are the night views. You can see very close to the metro rail flyover. We are seeing the market. It's on a triangular site. So we get a circular courtyard in the center. There's beautiful history to this market. Because Hyderabad is all about historic markets. We have talked about the cultural products in historic markets. So this is being very close to the heart of the people of Hyderabad and very much practically located in the heart of the city. Yes, so coming back to the part of history, we have Deccani terrain is very dry. If you see, we call Deccan Plateau. So Deccan Plateau is very dry and we have harsh climate. So to fight with that climate, the rulers over a period of time have worked on the geography, geology of the entire terrain, and these temples are created in the city. Now we come to the next layer. This is the Qutub Shahi layer. We have wonderful fort, which is the most impregnable fort in the Deccan history, called Golconda Fort. Golconda was initially the fort with a small outpost under Kakatiya rulers. It was called Fort Manakal, or maybe Fort Mahakal. Later on, the fort was strengthened and more structures were added by different Qutub Shahi rulers. सारा शहर लोगों से मामूर कर रखिया जो दरिया में तू बीन या सामी. This is the couplet read by Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah when he was laying the foundation of the new city. What happened when Golconda was becoming overcrowded and the city was fighting with plague? The ruler planned to start a new city. So that is why he said that, "Oh Lord, fill my country with people the way there are fish in ocean." So the way we have variety of fish in the ocean, same method, same way, Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah brought people from all over Indian subcontinent. He brought people from there and made them people of Hyderabad. So this is the fourth ruler, Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah. He understood the need of the new city, and the city was called Bhagnagar or Bagnagar. When you go to the term Bagnagar, Bagnagar means the city of gardens. And Bhagnagar means because he married a woman called Bhagmati. After her name Bhagmati, the city was called Bhagnagar. So these are the images you are seeing. This is the map which I was talking about.
Yeah, probably you could quickly just run through the images so that people can connect back to the story.
Yes, these are the step wells. Yeah. And this is the fort of Golconda. I was telling you that this is the Kakatiyan outpost originally, and later on many structures were added by Qutub Shahi rulers. So in the center, what you are seeing is Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah, and I read the couplet to you. सारा शहर लोगों से मामूर कर रखिया जो दरिया में तुलमी ने आसामी. Fill, oh Lord, fill my country with people the way you have fish in ocean. To the left hand side, what you are seeing is it's a post found in early period, because there are different layers of history in Hyderabad. All these layers, chronological order, we are sharing. To the right hand side, what you are seeing is the image of Charminar. We all think that Charminar is same from all four sides. It's a similar elevation. But no, that's our misconception. What you're seeing in the center is the dome of a mosque. So there is a wonderful mosque on top of Charminar. This is the reason why during the Mughal attack, the building was left untouched. So because the city was very prosperous in terms of pearls and trade of diamonds, the entire Golconda kingdom, I will show you the map in the next slide, entire Golconda kingdom was very rich in terms of diamonds. So the prosperity of the kingdom, it was growing, and then the news reached the Mughal kingdom. The Mughal ruler planned to attack Golconda. And the city was famous on the east-west coast trade route, or Goa Machilipatnam trade route. It was an important trade center. Yeah. So this is what the image, what you are seeing to the right hand side is actually a conjectural drawing. It must have been the image somewhere in 1940 before the new market came up, which is now called Pathirgatti. In the center, you are seeing a fountain. So this is called, the entire area is called Char Kaman. Char is 4 and Kaman is gateway. So there are 4 gateways. In the image, you are seeing a gateway, and behind that you are seeing Charminar. So this is one gateway. To the left and right of the fountain, there are 2 more gateways, and in the starting there's 1 more. So east, west, north and south, you will have 4 gateways. And in the extreme, we are seeing Mecca Masjid. Yeah, so this is the next slide. As I told you about the trade route, so these are the structures built on trade route. From Golconda to Charminar was the trade route, and these are the structures. To the left hand side is a huge mosque. You are seeing all the structures right now I'm showing you is from Qutub Shahi period. So this is a typical of Qutub Shahi architectural style. And there are miniature balconies. If you are seeing the minarets have a little balcony also. This is a typical of Qutub Shahi architecture style. And on caravan route, like today when we go for trade, when we go for business, we stay in hotel. But in those days, these were the structures, these were the rest houses. So along with this mosque, the entire quadrangle had small rooms. To the right hand side, you are seeing another image. Yeah, continue on this page only. To the right hand side, you are seeing image of another mosque, which has a caravanserai. So these are the rest houses for the people who came to Golconda for trade purposes. So one on eastern side of the city and one on the western side of the city. That's how 2 big sarais are located. They are still there. These sarais are still there. Next slide. This is a Qutub Shahi wooden palace, because what happened when Aurangzeb attacked on Golconda, all the palaces have been destroyed. So we have very few structures left. This structure is still on trade route and surviving. What you are seeing to the right hand side, we had the visit of UNESCO culture officer, and we have revisited this site, purely made in wood. And if you see the scale of the structure is very much on human scale. Most of the structure we are sharing here is about monumental scale, but this is very much a human scale and very delicately designed, supposed to be a Zanana palace of Qutub Shahi ladies. Next slide. Yeah. So these are some more structures. As I told you that Golconda was connected with Charminar. So this is the bridge through which it was connected. It is now called Purana Pul. It was otherwise Pule Narva. That was the original name for this. So Pule Narva connected the new capital. As I told you that when Golconda became overcrowded, a new city was planned where Charminar was planned in the center, and you have already seen that image of Char Kaman and a fountain in center. So this is the bridge, and next to the bridge is the city gate. The walled city came later, so this is the part of the city gate. We will talk about the walled city in the next slide. To the right hand side is another important mosque of Qutub Shahi period. You see how delicately all the lime work is being done. As I told you about the cultural products of Hyderabad, so work of lime is very unique. Like Deccani lime plaster work is very unique. Next slide. This is the image of the Qutub Shahi dominions we had in around 1670. So you see the amount of the map of India, the amount of area was covered by the Qutub Shahi rulers in 1670. So we are very close to the period when the Mughal ruler attacked. Next slide. So this is the period in 1687, there was a Mughal attack on Golconda. And to the right hand side, what you are seeing is the miniature painting where Aurangzeb is going with his retinue, with his army for attack. And this is the main gateway from the inner fort. What you are seeing here in a little arch. There's a little arch just at the center of the gateway. This is called Tel Ka Kotha. So this I'm showing you to tell you that when the army of the enemy has already entered the inner fort, the ladies of those Abyssinian slaves which are guarding the Qutub Shahi army, they would keep hot oil and they would pour the oil from here so that the enemy army is killed. So Tel Ka Kotha from this part. And I have another interesting folk tale to share. There were two army chieftains in Aurangzeb's army, and Abdullah Khan Panni was approached to give all the details of Qutub Shahi fort, the Golconda fort. He was also told by Aurangzeb that we will give you a good position in Mughal army if you let the gate open in the midnight. But Abdullah Panni has rejected the offer, and he threw the offer letter in the moat, and he was ready to counterattack. But in the middle of the night, as I told you, there were two army chieftains. So the other army chieftain did open the gate, and all the Mughal army was inside the fort. So very close to this gate is a garden called Nagina Bagh. Nagina Bagh means at one point of time there would be a business of diamonds and pearls and silks in that part. So next to Nagina Bagh, Abdullah Khan Panni reached with all his handful of people, but he could not fight with them. He laid there overnight fighting with people, and next day morning his body was recovered. He was still alive, and he was presented in the court of Aurangzeb by the time the fort was already in Mughal army's hands. So there are beautiful stories, there are beautiful folklores. Next slide. These are the Qutub Shahi tombs. Next slide. Yeah, these are the Qutub Shahi tombs. To the left hand side, what you are seeing is a hammam. Hammam means a structure for taking bath. And then there are other tombs. So all the tombs share a lot of similarity in terms of architectural design. You see the number of arches. These are odd number of arches in any elevation, any side elevation. And there are huge bulbous domes. When you go inside, the domes echo very beautifully. The restoration is being conducted right now by the Aga Khan Foundation. And about the hammam, interestingly, these structures are built in 1500, 1600 date, but the technology was so advanced that they have a system of hot water and cold water supply. So another fact about these tombs is that the Mughal army has put all their horses and camels they've tied here, and they put their cannons here to attack on Golconda. They used their cannons from here, and because of that, all the domes suffered major damages. As I told you already, the restoration is conducted. Next slide. So we are here seeing the gateways. I already told you about Char Kaman, Gulzaros and Char Kaman. Char Kaman is a group of 4 gateways. So these are 2 gateways you are seeing in the image. The image to the right, I want to tell you that this is the Kaman which suffered major damages because when the new city capital was built after Golconda was becoming overcrowded, the present walled city was the new city capital. And then this part of the city suffered major damages. All the palaces were beyond this gateway. So they attacked on this part of the city. All the damage was done. Another interesting tale I would like to tell you that when Aurangzeb was walking in the street after the Mughal attack, he asked his people, he asked his governor, he asked his prime minister, what do we do with these many palaces? And then there was a big silence. There was a reply coming from his people, and they said that, sir, it is better that we demolish all the structures because half of the income of our kingdom would go in restoring and maintaining these palaces. Just maintaining. Imagine the amount of riches we had in these palaces was all looted by the Mughal army. And finally, all the palaces were destroyed. And as I told you, Charminar has a mosque on the top. That is why it was left. Next slide. So after the Mughals left, after the Mughal ruler left, he left his governors here, and those governors were called Nizam. After the death of Aurangzeb, the Asafjai dynasty came up by the first Nizam, Asaf-ud-Daula. And what you are seeing, I showed you the map of India and Qutub Shahi dominions, and these are the Asafjai dominions. In this period, another important construction is Mecca Masjid. So Mecca Masjid was started by the 5th Qutub Shah. The 4th Qutub Shah made Charminar. I showed you his picture. And the 5th Qutub Shah, son-in-law of the 4th one, Sultan Quli. Sultan Quli started the construction of the tomb. There was a story at that point of time that if you complete this mosque, that will be, that the ruler will have, his dynasty will come to the end. So the 5th ruler started, the 6th did not complete, the 7th did not complete, and after that Mughal rule started. So when the Mughal ruler was approached in the court for completion of the mosque, he read a couplet, Kare Duniya Kamam Nakasad, Har Chigirat Mukhtasar. It means, why the hell you start some work which you cannot complete in your lifetime? So he was cursing the earlier rulers who did not complete the mosque. But he did not know that if he completes the mosque, it is the end of his rule. He did pay for the mosque construction, but the completion was done in a haste because there was not enough money. So the earlier mosque, which I showed you in the earlier slides, had much tall minarets. What you are seeing are much smaller minarets. So the image in black and white is a conjectural image, which was actually there till 1940s. And after that, the new pavilion was added by the Nizams for the burials of the next generation. And to the right hand side, what you are seeing is a beautiful palace called Chaumehla. This was a new palace of the Nizams. As I already told you that Qutub Shahi palaces were destroyed by the Mughal army. They were demolished. Only the gateways are left. The new palaces came up in this part of the city, and a new city wall construction started. What you are seeing here are the smaller windows in front to the left and right side of the arch. These are called Nakar Khana, where the drummers would sit. Next slide. So this is the walled city, and what you are seeing in the center, is the Charminar, and next to Charminar, this palace came called Chaumehla Palace. Interestingly, this palace in 2007 have received Asia Pacific Award for the best restoration, upkeep, and reuse. Right now, it is a lifestyle museum, the Chaumehla Palace Museum. Chaumehla is, Chau is number 4, and Mahalla is group of palaces. So it's a group of 4 palaces, actually more than 4 palaces. Initially started with the plan of 4 palaces, but there are more than 4 palaces. To the right hand side, what you are seeing is from the Chaumehla Palace, and this part is called Khilwat. Khilwat means private. So this was actually the private apartment of the Nizam. Next slide. This is another important part in our history. In 1798-99, we had subsidiary alliance. In fact, Hyderabad was the first princely state which went for this alliance with British. The second Nizam signed the treaty with the British, and far from Charminar, a lot of area to the north part of the river was given to the British for the construction of Sikandrabad, a new city, and immediately next to the river, was this British residency. Another interesting story comes here about James Kirkpatrick and Khairun-Nisa. So the story says that James Kirkpatrick was very impressed with the Indian style of living. So he fell in love with this girl who actually belonged to he was the daughter of one of the courtiers of Nizam's court. And then he converted to Islam and he was adopted by Nizam. After him, he was actually called Hashmat Jung. Nizam named him Hashmat, and this area after him was called Hashmat Jung, Ganj area, and the area is still existing. And this is the British residency. There are two residency famous in India, one in Kolkata and another in Hyderabad. There's one in Lucknow also, but at this scale we have two main structures. So James Kirkpatrick built a small model made of brick and lime. There's another story which says that when the girl asked, when Khairun-Nisa asked that I can't come because I am observing Parda, I can't come to your darbar. How do I understand what you are doing? So he said, this is the building and you sit here and then you understand how the court proceedings would be going on. So there is a little structure which is also restored by World Monument Fund. The restoration of British residency is going on. Left hand side, this is another interesting structure. This is a British reformatory, actually. The prison for Indian petty criminals, small petty criminals were, tried here. Next slide. I would like to share another important facet of Hyderabad history. This is about Paiga nobles. Paiga nobles were the army chieftains in the Nizam's army, and these nobles had marital alliance with the royal family. So Nizam's daughters were married with Paiga boys. Paiga actually means Pai means foot and Ga means a place to rest on. So it practically means that if the Nizam wants to get down from the horse, somebody would give his hand in front. I mean, Nizam never did that, but this is to tell the proximity of the families, the closeness of both the families. So these are some of the architectural features from the Paiga nobles' work. To the left-hand side is Paiga tombs. In the center, interestingly, this is the palace where people who made Falaknuma Palace, they live. Falaknuma Palace is a very important structure. I will show you. I have a mobile application also. In that, I will show you. So the Paiga noble who built Falaknuma Palace, he lived here. It is his palace. To the right-hand side is Asman Jah Bahadur's palace. Next slide. So now, because I've already told you about 1798-99, the subsidiary alliance. So this is the result of subsidiary alliance. You see a lot of British architecture happening in Hyderabad. To the left-hand side is a church. Now in the center is a clock tower. To the right-hand side is another clock tower. And up you are seeing Sikandrabad Club. So Hyderabad was very much cosmopolitan in nature. Next slide. This is another important period in Hyderabad history. In 1908, we had a big flood in Musi River, and then it was followed by plague in 1911. This was the time when the rulers understood the need to revive the city, and then a lot of new structures came up. We were showing you some images of Mozamjahi Market. So this is the work of City Improvement Board, which has worked on slum, removal of slums in Walled City Park. And I already showed you a map of Walled City, which had 13 darwazas and 13 khidkis. Khidkis are the posterns, the smaller gateways. So all those darwazas were removed. Only two darwazas were left, which are still standing. I showed you one image of Purana Pul Darwaza. And this is the market, which we have recently restored. To the right-hand side is the image. We are connecting our today's talk with the last talk, which has happened on 15th of August, 1948 Hyderabad map. So with the efforts of Sardar Patel, Hyderabad has joined Indian Union. And 7th Nizam, Mir Osman Ali Khan, ruled Hyderabad till the state was merged. And after 1940, he was called Raj Pramukh. These are some of the, next slide. These are some of the activities which are important for tourism promotion. So our state government is working on all these projects. Pre-COVID, we had all these things running really well in the city. To the right-hand side is Hyderabad Heritage Walk. There is a group of Northeastern professionals, officers from tourism who have come to Hyderabad to understand the best practices of tourism in our city. And you are seeing the policemen on the horses. These policemen walk into the alleys and narrow streets of the Walled City Park. And at the bottom, we are seeing a museum walk. This is also planned by our state government. This is a 300-year-old gun foundry, actually started by a French person called Raymond, and he was a part of Nizam's army. To the left-hand side, bottom picture is of a craft walk. This is also our state government's effort. And to the top, we have nature walk. This we conduct in Dulapalli Forest Academy, and we have a lot of interesting things for the children for promotion of heritage and heritage awareness, basically heritage education. It is very important for us to give this to our younger generation. As I always, we understand that heritage is something which we have inherited from our senior generation, but we have borrowed it from our children. So it is very important that we keep it in a good shape and we preserve it, restore it, conserve it for the next generation. Next slide. This is the next slide. Yeah, this is Hyderabad Heritage Walks, started in 1902. Sorry, it is started in 2009. And this is the entire event happened at Charminar. And this is all the students listening to the Heritage Walk coordinator at the starting of the Heritage Walk. These are more pictures of Heritage Walk. These are the buildings which we covered in the Heritage Walk route. The right hand side is Chowmahalla Palace, and to the left hand side is one of the Paiga palaces under restoration. So we have attended to 12,000 people by now. And these are the books on heritage. There are different stories, 50 stories and 51 activities are written in the book for children. And these are some 300 buildings. To the left hand side, the images of a book which is about almost 300 buildings in Hyderabad with all the details of Now we will talk about an application. We will take you around the city. Ma'am, with your permission, can we share the app?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead. Go ahead. Please go ahead, Madhu.
Yeah. Can you see the blue screen with Hyderabad Heritage icon?
Yes.
Bharti ma'am, is the app running?
Yes, it's running.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Thank you. So this is the application. We are showing you the entire Hyderabad. You see the richness of the city. I mean, as a scholar, I have understood that there are almost 275 buildings. I would say heritage components because there are natural heritage sites also. What you are seeing is the walled city part. I already showed you this image with 13 gateways and 13 posterns. So most of our heritage sites are concentrated in this part of the city. And then I talked about Golconda. So we are going via the trade route. Okay, you are seeing the river, the blue line running through, right? And then here is the wall of Golconda. So Golconda has actually 8 gateways, and the 9th gateway open into the other part. This oval part is Golconda and the other rectangular part is Naya Kila. So the entire thing is Golconda Fort, and you are seeing the fort wall. In this application, we can check based on our interest. So you have different typologies: armory, Ashur Khana, bastion, then church, clock tower. So because we were talking about initially about the temples, which are the oldest in Hyderabad. So we see some of the temples and we see some of the step wells. So we are typing temple, and these are all the temples in Hyderabad in the list. I mean, as per our interest of heritage. We are at Sri Sita Ramachandra Swami temple. There is another interesting story I would like to share, that when Lord Rama was going in search of Sita, this route fell. The entire route is crossing from Hyderabad, and then there are different Ramalayams. So this is one of the temple which is on that route. There are actually 3 Ramalayams we see in this application itself. So what you are seeing is a step well Okay, it is being used for a dance performance. This is part of the temple. So this is temple, and we go to another layer of history where we would like to see the Mughal attack and what has happened in Hyderabad at that point of time. So these are all the location of cannons in Hyderabad. This is the Mughal cannon, which we would like to show you. This is a 16 feet long cannon. And
So, Madhu, is that a free app that travelers can download?
it's a paid app because a lot of research has gone into it.
Okay.
And children, ma'am, we have trained dozen of children who have given their voice.
Okay. And how much does it cost to download the app?
Ma'am, it's only 99 rupees for all the material in one go.
Fantastic. So I'm sure that's a great value addition, viewers, when you do travel to Hyderabad. It really helps you to meander. Incidentally, we also have the app for Incredible India's website, which you can also download on your telephones. And that has a lot of information also. So I'm sure, initiatives like these and using digital technology
Ma'am,
to understand places is the way forward.
ma'am.
Fantastic.
Ma'am, one more thing, ma'am. This application is actually, you can run it anytime from any part of the world. And it is very good tool for the children, ma'am, who want to know about history
Yes,
and very user friendly, ma'am.
fantastic.
So, ma'am,
So,
yeah,
are we kind of done with the content? Because we do have some questions coming
ma'am,
in.
we are done. We are done, ma'am.
All right, great, great, great. So, viewers, we hope that you had an interesting session today from the city of pearls, and it's always fascinating city to go to because the city just has so much to it. But one thing that we must be so very proud of in the city is that the culinary part of it. Incidentally, UNESCO has granted it the title of the creative city of gastronomy. It seems that 66 other cities were listed. And who won the title? Well, our own Hyderabad won the title. So there are a number of culinary tours that do take you around. And I'm sure even if you didn't want to go to a formal tour, you can Google, look up, and also just follow the nose, where the best smells are coming for the biryani and the halim and the nihari. And so it's a fascinating city that you have brought us to today, Madhu. And I must also mention, when we mention food, that do not forget to eat the Kubani ka meetha.
Yes.
And yes. So incidentally, how do you get there? Well, there is an international airport in Hyderabad. It has an annual passenger traffic of about 20 million. It's India's sixth the busiest airport, and it has been awarded in multiple categories as one of the world's top 3 airports. It's truly an international infrastructure that is created there. And I can tell you from personal experience that as you get out of the airport, the kind of road network that is there in Hyderabad is simply mind blowing. So, you really, really will be welcomed into a city that, as Madhu brought to you, has so much of history and so much of culture and whatnot crafted into it, but it is supported by very, very modern infrastructure. There are also 2 railway stations that are very well connected. In terms of the economy, it has a lot of financial industry, it has the IT industry, it has a very flourishing healthcare industry. Also, after Bollywood, which is in Mumbai, this city boasts of being the second largest producer of movies and goes by the name of Tollywood. So there's just so much in this city. The city was also known as a global trading hub for diamonds for all its Golconda diamonds. So, there's just so much. And I think the Salarjung Museum and the Golconda Fort, all these places are not to be missed. The Hussain Sagar Lake, it's so very beautiful, this city. And if you're in Bangalore and if you want to go to Hyderabad and want to drive it, it's about 560 kilometers. If you're in Mumbai and you want to drive, then it's about 700 kilometers. And if you wanted to do Tirupati Ji ke darshan, then from Hyderabad, you can go just about 600, I think 550 actually to be exact, kilometers. And we went to Vizag some weeks back. And if you want to drive from Vizag to Hyderabad, and it's a lovely drive, it's about 600 kilometers again. So very well connected, whether it's the international airport, whether it's the 2 railway stations, whether it's the very extensive road network that takes you into Hyderabad. And once you get there, you know what all to do. And there's the app, there's the Incredible India app. There are just so many ways of getting around. Madhu, one of the questions coming in was that how are you all, I mean, all of you who live in Hyderabad, and for you, Hyderabad is home. How are you doing more to bring this beautiful city to Indians and to people from overseas?
Ma'am, actually, Telangana Tourism has some of the road shows, I remember. I mean, pre-pandemic, we did have these programs. And then we have these melas, tourism melas at different levels. There are melas organized in Hyderabad, which are, international ones. And then the Indians go abroad whenever we have these. There are different tourism associations. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of that. So we are doing well in terms of tourism, but more has to be done. I mean, there's no sky's the limit for the city.
That's true. And also a little bit on the Salarjung Museum. What are the timings and how long does one need to actually do the museum a reasonable amount of justice?
Ma'am, if you allow me, I'll quickly share a story about Salarjung Museum.
Please
because it is the World Folktale Day, you said. So the story goes like this, that there was a period when the Salarjung was actually de facto ruler. Like, there's a period in history when the owner is not, it's just a minor. So 6th Nizam was like a 9-10-year-old child, and he walked into Salarjung's room. And Salarjung was just taking afternoon siesta without his bugloos. Bugloos is the belt and dastar is the headgear. So he was not wearing his bugloos, he was not wearing his dastar, and just taking siesta. He just walked into his room, let's say Chacha Jan, something like that. And then suddenly Salarjung got up and then he did his adab. And you know what happened? Next day he went to the court and he paid the fee for not being properly dressed in front of Nizam. That was the custom, that those were the people who followed the regulations, rules like this. So yeah, coming back to Salarjung Museum, I would say that Hyderabad has various museums. One, Chomala Museum, I told you about the Asia Pacific Award, the Lifestyle Museum. Salarjung Museum is famous because it's the unique one family collection. Some people call it one man collection also. It's huge. There are many galleries. I would say a person who's interested should minimum have 1.5 to 2 hours. Because 1 hour will be just a dry run. You will be walking into different galleries and not achieving anything. So a good 1 to 2 hours program will be Nice. And the museum is right now not open to public because of the present regulations, but they are ready to open. I have recently visited it, and I must tell the viewers that it has a wonderful miniature gallery, and it has a very unique Urdu gallery also. There are Qurans, yeah, which are smaller than, like, thumb size.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
This is the level of collection of miniatures they have. Miniature paintings. I have written a book on miniature painting recently. We have launched it. So for all the study, I went to Salarjee Museum. We have some very good professionals, very good officers working there who are always open to academic interest also.
Fantastic. Well, one of the viewers, Sangamitra Malik,
Yeah.
she is mentioning that she has the image of the original model of the residency building taken when she was a student in the Women's College. It's been taken in 1973.
Yeah.
Sangamitra, we will encourage you to post it on our Incredible India's, we run the Instagram handle. And why don't you join that? I will ask my team to start a chain on Hyderabad today. And please post that picture for all of us to, savor it and to look at it and to keep it as part of our memory. And there's just so much, and these are the kind of stories, these are the kind of pictures, images, your memories that we want you to cherish and we want you to share. In each of my programs, I mention about the Incredible India Tourist Facilitator Program, which we are running from the Ministry of Tourism. It's an online learning program. It takes about, it depends, of course, on how much time you can devote to it, but typically it should take you about 2 to 3 months to complete it. You can take an exam after that, which is also going to be online, and you can become a certified tourist facilitator. And then, you can go about telling your stories on a more organized fashion. And the whole program will also get into an e-marketplace to drive the initiative. It's a fantastic potential for becoming an entrepreneur, earning something out of a skill, I think, which is there in all of us as Indians. I think we are all great storytellers, and we've inherited so much from our parents, from our grandparents, and we must just grow it further to take it forward. If I may ask you, Madhu, one or two couple of last things that you would like to say to someone who's there in Hyderabad for a day or two. Which are those 5 things that they must not miss?
But then I would say that you don't miss Chowmahalla Palace. That is top of my list because it is not very big compared to the other museums. Okay, so Chowmahalla should not be missed, and you should not miss the latest restaurant market because it has famous ice cream. These ice creams are hand churned, ma'am. So this is like, you have these coconut ice cream and you have guava ice cream. So one is that. And on food part also, I would count one more that whether you are a vegetarian or a non-veg, don't miss on biryani. We have too many varieties of biryani. I mean, there are more than 40 varieties of biryani we have in Hyderabad.
Okay.
Yeah, and the biscuit. So you have, when you go to Charminar, so the top of the list should start from Charminar. Go to Charminar, have a cup of tea, have your biscuits, which I already showed you the picture in Nimra Bakery. I've written on the chat also, and go to Chowmahalla. So half of the list is over. If you have time, please visit Qutub Shahi tombs, because they are recently been restored, and we must encourage the restoration in Hyderabad because whatever we have in the city cannot be built again. And people who have academic interest, they can go to Prehistory Museum. I showed you an image of the dolmens, which are in Warangal. We can't go till Warangal if we are in Hyderabad. We should have one more day's time. But in case you have academic interest, do come to this Prehistory Museum. We have something similar to Indus Valley Civilization called Krishna River Valley. So when there was a dam under construction, this part got submerged, and then they have recovered a lot of artifacts from there. And then coming to the technology part, if you are really, coming for the high-tech city and biotechnology, I'm sure you will go to the new part of the city, which is wonderful. I would say city has a wonderful blend of modern and old. So I'm sure those 5 things are done. Some part with buildings, some part with museums, some part with food. And ladies cannot stay without shopping, and guys should share with them. So walk into the streets of our markets, come with food and shopping. Welcome to Hyderabad at any point of time, and thank you very much.
Yes, you can't go back without eating the biryani, buying some pearls, and also some saris. So even if you are not traveling with your lady, you can always buy for her and carry back. It's a fantastic city. Well, viewers, as always, coming to an end, the sessions always, I believe they always whet your appetite. You know, I'm sure all of you are raving to travel to this amazing city, and do plan your travels as soon as it's more safe. It's already becoming safer with the due protocols being in place. You could take your flights, just keep, you're going to wear the shield, you know, you need to wear a mask, you need to sanitize, there is social distancing. We need to, you know, this is perhaps required at this point of time. But with the due precautions being in place, yes, do start visiting your beautiful country. And I'm going to thank Madhu and also thank the entire team at NEGD. And we're also sorry for a few technical glitches that come your way. Sometimes, don't you think we do it almost deliberately? We want you to get up and travel. We don't want you to start depending on virtual space and say, oh, I actually saw Hyderabad. No, you did. You just got a little glimpse of it. Well, thank you everyone for joining in. And for people who want to see this webinar later and also want to share with friends and family later, all the webinars go as repositories on the Ministry of Tourism's website. They are available as YouTube links and you can see them. We run, today was the 50th of them. All of them are available on the Ministry of Tourism website under the banner Dekho Apna Desh. That also gives you information of what's coming next week. And I can, of course, tell all of you who are logged in right now that we are going to take you to the amazing, amazing treasure of India, Hampi. And you certainly don't want to miss that. And do share it with all your friends and family to travel to Hampi because it's an amazing UNESCO World Heritage Site. And there is so much to be seen over there, both past and present. So thank you once again, viewers. Thank you, Madhu. Thank you, Team NEGD. And most of all, thank you, viewers, for continuously supporting us. We are also going to do another small initiative from next week. I want to keep it as a secret. So I'm going to tell you next week on what that's going to be about and how you are going to get your e-certificates, because all of you have been asking on getting e-certificates of participation of watching these webinars. So we've taken your feedback on that and we are enabling it very, very soon. But how do you get it? That I shall tell you next week. So thank you so much, viewers. Once again, keep healthy, keep safe. Namaste from Dekho Apna Desh at Incredible India, and see you next week, Saturday, 11 a.m. from Hampi. Have a good day.